Welcome to Rising Stars, where Miriam Knight, publisher of New Consciousness Review, interviews exciting new voices in the world of progressive and transformational books, films, and ideas, who offer intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us as we celebrate the conscious awakening and explore many expressions of consciousness in action.
I'm Miriam Knight, and we have a wonderful show for you today. My first guest is Marie-Ange Faugérolas. She is an award-winning writer whose books and screenplays range from epic historical pictures to supernatural drama, suspense, and esoteric nonfiction. Marie-Ange was named by her beloved grandmother after a popular Corsican name meaning Merry Angels. And this is a resonance with another aspect of her life filled with spirituality. It was from this space that she wrote a number of books, including 2012, Le Livre des Révélations, the Book of Revelations, a tarot for Marseille, and Les Anges de l'Amour and La Bible des Anges. The last book, which has been translated into English, it was expanded and published recently by Tertre Penguin as Angels, the Definitive Guide to Angels from Around the World. This is a fantastic book that we're going to discuss today. Welcome, Marie-Ange.
Hello, Miriam. So happy to be with you today.
Well, your book is really fascinating to me because I have never seen such a detailed exposition of who all these angels are, what their interests are, and how you connect with them. I mean, it's fantastic. How did you get from being a screenwriter and a novelist to delving into communication with angels?
Oh, the long story started when I was 4 years old. I had a first encounter with angelic energy. Obviously, at 4 years old, I had no idea that it was an angel manifesting. But later on, I understood that this beautiful light, bright light that came to me and that, went through my body and expanded inside, spreading immense love and divine love, was definitely angelic. And later on, I acknowledged it as an angelic connection because I had more and more spiritual and supernatural encounters. And alongside these stories, I was so interested in supernatural literature. As you said, I delved into this literature with French authors, British authors, American authors. Everything that was supernatural attracted me more than anything. My favorite authors, for instance, one of them is Edgar Allan Poe. And all these stories were really, and Théophile Gautier, the French poet and novelist. And I was into this. And because these authors understood that beyond our reality and beyond the veil, there is something that we don't see, but that exists and manifests. And this was reassuring me when I was a child, when I was reading at 8, 10, 12 years old and willing to write myself, and it happened. And another story took place when I was 15 years old. I was so into American and English literature. I went to the British Library in Paris, and I saw on the tables these books with a little penguin stamped on them. And my goal, I told myself, when I'm a writer, when I'm successful, I will see this little penguin of one of my books, which was at that time a real challenge for a little girl who was born and raised in France. And it's happening now. With which book? A book on angels. That is so this is something that shows that for first thing, never give up on any of your dreams. Never, ever give up, although it takes time. And the second thing is that when you're doing what you're supposed to do, the universe, the angels, and the divine will push you on the way.
So tell me how you arrived at the very detailed information in all of your books, really.
I am a detail person. I think when we want to know something about a topic, like really get knowledge, it has to be through details. It's the same thing with humans. When we are interested in somebody and we love somebody, our way to express this love is to show interest in the details of their life. What do you like to eat? What do you like to watch on TV or to the movies? Whatever you do, it's all about details. Science is also about details. And to me, a real thorough research is based on details. This is why I really wanted to give all these details and more and more.
What is your understanding of what angels are?
It's pretty simple. They are beings of energy because we don't see them as they are in their initial form. We see them as they show themselves to us, but they don't appear as energy. Energy is what happens behind the veil. It's a world of energy. The world of the departed is energy. The soul is energy. This is why we're still alive when we pass on. And I see these angels as beings of energy that appear to us in different forms for us to be able to accept their presence, and they manifest to us in a way that talks to us. And for some people, they will appear as human beings, they will appear as animals, as your pets, they will appear as flowers, an orb, a light, a feather, many forms they can take, or just a hand resting on your shoulder, telling you to do something, inciting you to change something and take action at a specific moment. It's all ways of showing themselves to us, but they are beings of energy and light and love.
But they have very distinct personalities. How did they come to be differentiated in those particular ways, do you think?
Well, that's a very interesting question, Miriam. They have been created by God, and God created them for several purposes that serve humans. We can go beyond this debate, only humans, that's a question mark. I think they serve all the beings that God created. And their purpose is to help us, to guide us, to assist us. And they needed to be to have various functions to answer our requests and help us. Therefore, you can find guardian angels, or basic angels, very close to us, who have this function to be really allotted one person to work with. You have higher angels that we call archangels, who are working for different purposes. For instance, some of them work for family purposes, work purposes, money purposes, different occasions like family harmony, all different purposes that are really necessary to help humans. And the higher the archangel, the more he has functions. For instance, Archangel Michael, who is the most famous archangel, everybody knows him in the world, he has many functions. He, for instance, he's psychopomp, meaning he takes the psyche, the soul, when it has to be released from the body when we cross over, and brings it to the realm of angels and God. And this is what he does first. He is also the one who really wants to destroy evil. He is the leader of armies of angels who help him destroy evil, fight evil constantly. He also helps people in great purposes. He is a backup when you need to accomplish a specific mission on earth and you need to call on the highest archangels to have a real task force to assist you. You can count on him. He is very reliable and is going to help you. So you have also angels who have, like Raphael. He is a very strong and powerful archangel of love and, of course, of healing. And he helps people overcoming illnesses, and he is a backup for all the love problems that we can encounter, either if we want to meet soulmate or if we want to deal with a family conflict, or every purpose of love, he is interested in helping us. So this is how they are according in the hierarchy of angels with the functions. And I would like to specify that angel is a generic term that includes angels and archangels of different levels. And among these different levels, you have the celestial hierarchy with the most famous ones, the seraphim, the cherubim, who sit and dwell very close to God. And those are the angels who have the highest level of responsibility and work with the other lower levels of the hierarchy who do their bidding. Therefore, it's a very structured world, the world of angels. It's not just one angel here and there. It's a very structured world because God has structured our world, and so did he with the world of angels as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, how did you come to your understanding of this hierarchy? Was it through reading or was it through direct inspiration? Or both?
The hierarchy specifically is through reading. There is a lot of information about it. There are many writers who talked about it. The most famous one is Pseudo Dionysius the Areopagite, who wrote in the 5th century after Christ. He wrote the specific levels of archangels. He is the most reliable one. Some differ.
I didn't catch his name. Can you repeat it?
Yes, it's Pseudo. That's the first. Because he's not to be confused with another Dionysius the Areopagite. There is another one that is a philosopher, and this one is the theologian, and he is very specific in his celestial hierarchy. With the different levels, and he gives examples. And we find more of these celestial beings in the book of Enoch as well. Nothing in the Bible. Oddly, the Bible is very scarce regarding the description of the angelic realm. The Bible quotes angels many, many times, but archangels only twice, which is quite interesting.
Well, we're going to have to take a break now, but we will be back with Marie-Ange Faugérolas talking about angels.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Do you want to be a better communicator? Do you want to better connect with the important people in your life? Do you want to enrich your relationships? If so, join me, Matthew Cooper, on the Positive Control System Show every Wednesday evening at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on OMTimes Radio. I'll meet you there.
Hi, this is Angela Levesque, host of Entanglement Radio. Join me Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern for inspiring conversations with visionaries in spiritual science and conscious healing. Entanglement Radio, Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern. Transcendent talk for the conscious mind.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Marie-Ange Faugérolas about her book, Angels, the Definitive Guide to Angels from Around the World. Marie-Ange, this might be a good time to give people your website.
Yes, with pleasure. It's very simple. It's myname.com. If you want me to spell it.
I think that might be a good idea.
So it's MarieAnge Faugérolas.com. It will be a pleasure to answer questions whenever anybody wants to send me an email and ask me a question and connect on the website.
Very good. Okay. Now, we were giving this sort of general background of the angel hierarchy before the break. Give us an example of how you describe interacting with an angel. How can you connect and get the angel to help you in any particular situation you have?
Well, this is a very good question. I would just add something to the celestial hierarchy, not to make it seem quite theoretical, just to show that it is very structured, because angels want to help us, and there is a common ground between the different level of angels. It is love. It is the desire to help us, and it is also the capacity to convey our requests and prayer to God, saying that every angel is capable of doing this. There is not an angel that has no love or angels that has something very little. All angels are love, are really, really God's messengers and God's creation to help us. I wanted to specify this point. And regarding the connection with an angel, there are many ways to connect with angels. The first thing is to know is that everybody can connect to an angel regardless of your tradition, your religion, your beliefs, whoever you are, wherever you come from. You can connect to angels because they love everybody. They don't have favorite people on earth. They love everybody equally. So connecting with an angel is easy. You can just summon the angels and utter his name and talk to him with your own words from your heart and saying, I would like help for this purpose or this purpose. I have just an advice is to be specific in your request. When you pray to an angel, ask him exactly what you want. It's very important to be specific. And sometimes people ask me, oh, I pray to the angels, but they didn't make me happy. Nothing happened. And I say, happy, what does that mean? It can be different from one person to another. So if your happiness is to find your soulmate, then you have to be specific and ask the angels, I would like to meet my soulmate. Or if you absolutely want to buy a new house, I would like to buy a new house. Be very specific. Then you can connect anytime, talk to them. You can also do something very simple that makes you in a state of peace and quietness. You light a white candle. You take 3 very deep breaths and you exhale the negative from your mind. And while you do this, you start feeling more at peace yourself. And this peace you create in yourself will really make the connection more easy. It's a good thing to meditate, for instance, to relax. Every connection, when it's a relaxed one, it's without the tensions of the challenging life that we all face. And it really helps to create a great connection. But it's always simple. And if you want something important, you can then perform a more important ritual that you can find in my book with explanations. And it's fun. I want to say that connecting to angel is not something boring and something that bothers you. It's something fun. You can create and set up an altar for the angels and bring all the items that you like and any kind of object, flowers, scent, incense, essential oils, crystals, stones, shells, whatever you like, and you feel it's going to be beautiful on this altar. And it's a celebration that the angels really enjoy. It's about enjoying things and make things happy and enjoyable.
Now, when you decide that you want to pray for something, does it make any difference if you pray to God? Are the angels the intercessors? Or is it more direct to pray to an angel or to ask the angel to help you? And what if you ask, let's say, Michael for something that actually, according to your book, the angel Ariel deals with?
It's important to know that angels convey prayers to God. You can pray to God directly, of course, if it's you
Cut out the middleman.
Yeah, of course, you can do this. This is not you should do this or that. And I always say, don't believe angels are God. No, they are His servants, His messengers. God is the creator. God is beyond the power of the angels. And Michael, and for instance, if you connect to a lower angel, he will always convey instantly your prayer to higher archangel or directly to God. This is the way to simplify when you connect to an angel, because you talk to the person, or I call this an angel a person, to the person who will do what you need to receive. They will do for you, intervene for you, and God is going to be supervisor. I would say angels for us are spiritual guides more than, they're not God, more than the higher power. They're spiritual guides, and they send us what God wants us to do.
Now, a lot of people think that they have guides. Are guides different from angels?
This is an interesting debate. A lot of people think angels don't exist, or they have guides and not angels. They're different beings in the spiritual world. They are, of course, spirits who can be the mind, the soul of a departed, who is in the other world, helping us in our everyday life, or to make choices, or to do different things. This can be a person that you've known, who's not from your family, who is helping you as well. These are the departed who are still with us. There is no doubt about this. But departed and angels are very different. Angels are celestial beings created directly by God. They are not humans that have become angels. There's two exceptions about this. It's in the Bible. God has chosen the prophet Eli and the patriarchs of the Bible, Enoch, to make them angels. But it's a specific story. Commonly, humans do not become angels. It's important to specify this. We're not angels. But angels work to help us increase our power, inner power, conscious power, and they want us to use it for the good. And they want us to expand our consciousness, to become more aware of the world, of what we can do, our potential, and expand our own life and achieve our destiny and achieve our goals, our mission, whatever we're supposed to do on this planet. They are there to help us achieve it. And this is the role that God wants them to really assume, to really be our helpers and assist us in this matter.
Can you give us an example in your own life of how you had angelic help?
Oh, I have had so many. I need to choose one that I really like, because it happened to my son, who was 2.5 years old, taking a nap in my house in France in the ground floor. On the ground floor, he was in his bedroom, window open. It was summertime, and I guess my son really climbed over the windowsill and fled from the house. And I didn't know, because I was in the living room. I didn't see anything, didn't notice anything. I was reading or working, and all of a sudden the French windows were open, and I could hear somebody stepping on the gravel. I was surprised, feeling I'm not waiting for anybody. And a few seconds later, somebody rang at the door. I opened the door, and I saw a very tall man who was carrying my baby. And I was absolutely speechless. I wanted to thank him, because obviously he picked my son up somewhere. It could have been the road, or next to the pond, or next to the train that was further on, but not very far. So it was so dangerous for a little boy who didn't know who he was, where he was. It was so weird that he left, but so amazing that this man brought me my child. But I couldn't speak. The sensation is so weird when you want to utter words and there's no way they cannot come out of your mouth. So he left without a word. I closed the windows, and obviously I looked through the windows to the door, and I looked through the windows to see if he was leaving the house, but he had vanished in thin air. There was nobody there. Nobody. And then I investigated in the village, and I said, did you find a man? Did you see a man that tall, extremely tall, who was attired like this and that? And I described him. And any a person I would meet would tell me, I have never seen this man here. We have no idea. So this is an incredible example of an angelic presence. And my son, who's 23 now, is no longer a baby. He absolutely knows and believes and is sure, and so am I, and so is the family, that an angel brought him back. Definitely.
Angels are with us. Wow.
Yes.
So can you give us an example of perhaps, you did give the example of the white candle and the breathing. Is there any other ritual that you could leave our listeners with?
Well, there's so many possible rituals. It's according to your mood, what you feel like doing. But I would say there's a very good thing to do to connect with the angels is when you go to sleep at night, before you fall asleep, there is a state of really decompression. You feel very, very relaxed in your bed. You lay on your pillow and just let go of the tensions. You can breathe very slowly and empty your mind of your thoughts as much as possible. And in this state of peace before sleep takes you in another world, you can then call on the angels at the specific moment and say words with your heart to the angels, either a prayer if you want something to happen in your life, or simply ask them guidance, ask them love and light that you want to receive. And then you can fall asleep.
Oh, lovely.
And the next day, I guarantee, when you do this, the next day you wake up refreshed and happy, and you have a great
full
day.
Of angelic energy.
Absolutely.
Well, lovely. Marie-Ange, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
We've been speaking with Marie-Ange Faugérolas, author of the Tertre Penguin book, Angels, the Definitive Guide to Angels from Around the World. Stay with us. We will be back with our next guest after these messages.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. FM. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Hi, this is Sylvia Henderson, intuitive life coach and energy healer. Are you ready to elevate and rise way above your normal? Be sure to listen to my show, Intuitive Transformations, on OMTimes Radio, Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. Get the inspiration you need to transform your life.
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Elia, in the circle on Sunday 2 p.m. Eastern as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
Being a radio host on FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. FM.
Our next guest, Nancy du Tertre. Nancy is a magna cum laude graduate of Princeton, and she was a practicing securities litigation attorney, a businesswoman, and a certified psychotherapist. She also trained as a military-style remote viewer and worked with law enforcement as a psychic detective and spiritual medium for 10 years. And then in 2011, she witnessed a UFO near her home. This launched her research into the connection between the psychic world, the paranormal world of ghosts, and UFOs. And she came to understand this through her own UFO ET contact experiences and her work with abductees and contactees. Nancy is the author of Psychic Intuition, Everything You Wanted to Ask But Were Afraid to Know, and her latest book that we're going to discuss today, How to Talk to an Alien. And this lays out her in-depth and very well-documented research into what she calls exolinguistics, or the study of off-planet languages, to which she brings her unique background as both a linguist and a psychic. Now, I have to tell you that we have a very short time to talk with Nancy today, so you are going to get just a very small taste of the riches of this book. But I want to welcome her to this show, and we will have her back in the new year. Welcome, Nancy.
Thank you, Miriam. Are you aware that there's actually a tremendous amount of static on your voice? And the reason why I mention this is it actually is very similar to a situation that I had that I talk about in my book, Talk to an Alien, where I was interviewing Uri Geller, and every single interview that I conducted with him, strangely, I had static over my voice as the interviewer. His was clear as a bell. And this went on day after day after day. And I tested everything. I tested my broadcasting equipment, my phone lines, everything. Even I would speak with people, at his location, and they were fine. But the second that I ended up speaking with him, suddenly there was static all over my voice.
How weird. I remember reading that in your book. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Weirder and weirder. So, why is it that, well, your book is just so full of the many different alien types there are, and the alien languages, and you kind of draw a linguistic history through art and archaeology. It's a whole world that you're opening up here. What drew you to the study of exolinguistics?
People have asked me that, and funnily enough, even though I wrote this book like a crazy person, it's my 5th published book, and every other book has taken me roughly 10 years to write. This one took me exactly 2 months. And so I was very, very, engrossed in doing the research and writing it. But honestly, I don't know why. And to me, the more I think about that, the more of a mystery that becomes to me. The closest thing I can think is that I had a lucid dream a while back. And I've been a lucid dreamer since I was a little kid. And in lucid dreams, you're able to control the dream to some extent. And you can also anticipate what's going to happen in the dream. Usually. And then when things happen and they're not within your control, it becomes almost like an independent, very similar to sort of a reality feeling. At any rate, I was driving my little hybrid car. I was about 5 blocks from home. I had parked it and I was picking up I thought it was going to be a neighbor friend of mine. And so I was waiting in the driver's seat, and the passenger door opened, and what appeared to be sort of a reptilian-ish type of alien hopped in my car and closed the door.
Woohoo!
Yeah, so I'm thinking, well, this wasn't quite what I had planned for this dream. And I looked at this alien. The alien looked at me, and he had an extremely powerful gaze, very, very strong. And I knew immediately that I was somehow going to be in some kind of trouble if I stayed there. I considered opening my door and running, just bolting out of there. But I knew that the split second that I was going to try and do that, it was already too late. Plus, I began to experience something which I had never felt either in real life or in a dream, which was a kind of a lockdown of like his brain waves had locked onto mine, and they were connected, and I could feel a really visceral sense of pressure in this kind of, almost like my thoughts were clamped. And I thought, oh no, this is it. This is not good. And then I had this other thought, and I thought, well, I've trained for decades now to become a trained psychic detective, a trained spiritual medium, a trained remote viewer, trained medical intuitive, all those things. I was not psychic, prior to that, as far as I knew. And so if I've trained to do all these things, well, there must be some use to that. And so I thought, well, let me see what I can do. So I gathered what felt to me, the only way I can explain it would be like a plasma ball of energy in my mind, and I shot it back at this alien through our mutually interlocked brainwaves, and it broke the connection, and my dream ended. And so I thought about that, and I thought, well, wouldn't that be kind of a good thing for certain people who've had very, very bad abduction experiences to know about? Because a lot of these people really do suffer from something akin to post-traumatic stress syndrome. And they do suffer, and I've met and spoken with many of them. And I thought, well, if they understood that they have certain powers as human beings, wouldn't that be helpful for them? And that's the only thing I can think of that maybe got me onto this track of writing a book about how to communicate with aliens.
You talk about different kinds of communication. You talk about both telepathic and verbal. And then you talk about, it's like a four-way matrix. What were the other two? With people that you can see?
Not quite sure. I mean, there are many, as far as the way I describe the communications, actually it's multiple, and I generally urge people not to even try to lock it into things that we call either language or alphabets, even though I think they exist as forms of alien communication. And those are things I'm specifically looking at. But there are many, many ways that they apparently communicate. And as you said, telepathically, that's most commonly described. You've got audible or vocalized speech. You have electronic manipulation of equipment using sounds and images, crop circles, symbols, dreams, channeling, remote viewing, technological devices like implants, mental downloads, communication, usually with lights, with spacecraft, and even body language. And also, I would suggest, and this may sound strange to some people, but when certain types of events intersect, I think that very often and people call those synchronicities, that those are moments that may have been orchestrated by aliens as a form of communication to us.
Now that's interesting, because a lot of people talk about synchronicities as being orchestrated by guides, by angels. What is your understanding of the sort of range of aliens in terms of their I don't know, materiality, their state of evolution?
When I first started to figure out whether they had languages, I had to figure out whether they could speak using their voices. In order to figure out if they have voices, you have to figure out, do they have the anatomy? And that's assuming that they're in the physical world. So you go back, and finally you get to a place where you have to have some type of understanding of how many races or species of aliens are they, and what is each one of those species like. And I've seen estimates of anywhere from 4 to 57 to 82 to 160 to 300 and up. And I'm sure there are more than that. It would only be logical, at least to me. Sometimes when you get into the higher numbers, you get into, as I describe in the book, How to Talk to an Alien, I talk about, some people consider the sort of magical, mythical creatures, trolls, elves, fairies, things like that to be lumped into that category of aliens. You could also potentially toss in some of the higher spiritual celestial entities such as angels or guides or beings of light and put them on that spectrum. It really depends how you define that spectrum. And then you got to know who's in there in the groups. So of those groups, for example, I talk about the fact that, they're usually, in terms of aliens, they talk about maybe 6 or 7 or 8 different basic categories. And they would be the humanoids, usually Nordic, Scandinavians, aliens like that. You have the reptilians, insectoids like the mantis type of aliens. You've got light beings. You've got hybrids. And the grays, of course.
Yeah. It's interesting when you talk about different people who have experienced physical contact and, in fact, sexual contact with aliens. Yeah. Well,
that takes you into that sort of wild and crazy world of, old ancient Sumerian myths or Babylonian myths, ancient biblical stories.
Well, the thing is that there are so many that it is impossible to conceive that there is not reality behind it. And that's why I want to get you back on in the new year, Nancy, because we haven't even begun to scratch the surface. Nancy's book is called How to Talk to an Alien. What's your website?
I have 2 websites, a brand new one called talkalien.com, and my more established one is called theskepticalpsychic.com. And anyone can reach me, and if they have samples of recorded alien speech or alien writings, I'm very, very interested to take a look if they want to send them.
Nancy du Tertre. How do you spell? She spells her name D-U and then separate word Tertre. What kind of a name is that?
My husband comes from the second oldest family in France.
Aha. This is Vive la France Day. Nancy, thank you so much for being with us, and we'll speak to you soon. Please stay with us for our final guest. We will be back right after these messages.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Matt Connerton here. Join Jen Coffey and I twice a week for Matt Connerton Unleashed, a political talk show that's a little different than what you're used to. No liberal or conservative agenda here, just an honest dialogue about truth and how things really work in the world of politics. Matt Connerton Unleashed, every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
Join Elliot Jollish, the business therapist, each Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Elliot Jollish Hour, as he interviews business experts on your behalf. And you're invited to email your business questions to questions@ecjgroup.com for answers, live, on air every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Elliot Jollish Hour. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Joel Ayala Ayapana. Joel is a veteran of the U.S. Air Force. He's been practicing within the specialized nursing field of behavioral health as a registered nurse for over 11 years in the Cleveland, Ohio area. His inspirational work with the mentally ill, the homeless, victims of substance abuse, anxiety disorders, and depression has earned him a number of awards and recognitions in the field of nursing. He's the author of the book of Positive Light, Remembrance of the Heart. And now, today we are not going to talk about his book, because Joel is the guiding light and driving force behind Real Revolution Radio. It's a brand new Cleveland-based radio network and creative community that launches this weekend. Since I am privileged to be one of the 33 hosts on the network, I wanted to get Joel to come and tell you about his vision for Real Revolution Radio. Welcome, Joel.
Thank you, Miriam. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Oh, well, it's a delight to have you with us, Joel. And I want you to tell our listeners about your vision for this radio network. What prompted you to start it up?
Well, I've been in the business of podcasting and the whole industry and just the power of the voice. I would have to reframe how podcast is. It's the new mainstream. It's the new popular media that's out there because people nowadays are looking for authenticity and truth. And so I was called to the podcasting world of things. Actually, it was just last year in March in 2014. And I started out in BBS radio. And I don't even know what even compelled me to get into talk show or even being a host for any particular talk show for that matter. It was just a calling from within. And just as the same type of voice or the same type of itch that encouraged me to write a book. And it's not a small book at that. It's a 430-page book. And again, we're not going to be talking about that. It was the same itch and passion that I had to start my own podcast. And I really didn't know too much about how to even start a podcast or let alone the technology involved to start a talk show online. So a lot of research, a lot of YouTube tutorials, and many different websites that tried to teach me in many different ways on how to do a podcast. And so the same thing happened with this radio station, which happened earlier this year in March, April. And believe it or not, it was just kind of like this voice inside that says, okay, now you got to create a network or community.
We've been hearing a lot about voices inside during this show.
Right. And it's that internal voice. And I believe all in all, the true message of this awakening that's happening not only in Cleveland, not only in Portland, not only in Florida or, succinct portions of the United States, it's happening throughout the world. And as far as why we don't know about it, well, it's because the popular media nowadays doesn't portray that. There's a, and I'm not even going to put energy towards that. But
so tell me who you're going to be getting on your network.
Right now we have around 33. I'm going to have to say over 33 podcasters. And for the most part, I say 70% are from the many people of whom I had talked to on their talk shows or even have interviewed them on Quantum Mindfulness Radio, past podcasts with BBS Radio and with Awakening Paradigms. And so they have supported me along this journey. I say 70% are going to be on this new network, which is Cleveland-based. But my intentions, for the most part, is to try to get more of the local Clevelanders here. And again, 10% is a part of that 33. And 33 is such a wonderful number to me. It's a master number, and and Miriam, a synchronicity that has led me to this point within the last 5 years. But when And as you know, as far as my book and knowing me personally, I am a huge numerology fan. I just find the whole world of numerology to be just fascinating, and it equivocates to sacred geometry, the Fibonacci sequence. It has everything to do with the blueprint and the universal laws of things and quantum theory. And I'm just a nerd at doing this. But these 33 podcasters, for the most part, they, again, Clevelanders and outside of the state as well, our intention is to inspire and to lead towards, again, the message of the power that we have from within. Often at times, and even in my life, for the majority of my life, I've been looking for the answer, looking for the perfect relationship, looking for the perfect book, the perfect therapist, the perfect doctor, perfect. And it was from a source of which I was looking from outside of myself. But when I started to figure out the answer wasn't away from me, it was essentially from within. And then that's when I started to realize the more that we are to delve within and more into the heart-centeredness of things. The heart within itself is the central mainstay, the connection to consciousness, to the field, the unified field according to quantum physics. And this field has that connection, that interconnection with everyone else. And then as you delve deeper into that, you go deeper into what many people who are in the know within this world of things as oneness. And it is something that the ancients have talked about from all of this time. And so what is happening right now, again, this awakening of sorts, and which has led me to call this radio station Real Revolution Radio. It's that revolution that we don't, again, not from outside of ourselves, but the revolution that we have in awakening and rediscovering the power of self. And again,
I've seen the word revolution often written with parenthesis around the first R. So it's parenthesis R, evolution. And I think that is really what you're showcasing. It's the evolution of humanity. One of the things that I love about the station is the cultural diversity, because we don't get a lot of that in the quote New Age arena. So that is just beautiful, Joel.
Thank you. And I think it organically played itself to be that way by itself. Again, just as the book had established a life for itself, along with the two podcasts that I've had, this radio station is taking a life of its own as well. And it's something that wasn't only gifted to me, but it was gifted to everyone. And it's all about bringing back this unity consciousness back to our community.
Well,
and
that's
this has
what it's all about. You've got indie music on the network as well, don't you?
Yes, indeed. And the reason for that is to platform not only just independent music and even the flavor of indie music, but to platform many of the artists out there who need to be broadcasted, because their talent and their creativity and their artistry is.
Oh dear, it sounds like we've lost Joel's audio. Joel, if you can hear me, can you please plug your microphone back in? You have gone away. We've totally lost Joel. Okay. Well, it's actually coming to the end of the show, and we will have to wish Joel and Real Revolution Radio all the best of success. So the website is realrevolutionradio.com, as you might imagine, and it will be launching December 4th of 2015 for listeners to the archive of this show. And I think you will find a really fascinating mix of talk shows, of indie music, of independent artists and self-published and traditionally published authors as well. And we wish Joel and all the people at Real Revolution Radio. Just the very best of success, so go check it out. And let's see, we've got Joel. Let's see if we can get him back. Joel, are you there? Can you hear me?
Hello, Miriam?
Yeah. So
there you are.
we're just wishing you well.
I lost you there for a quick second, but now we're back.
God
We're
bless
back.
Skype. Okay.
We're back in alignment.
Anyway, I was just kind of wrapping up where you're coming from, and do you have any plans for the launch party?
Yes, we do. Again, to reiterate, for people who know about this, and even the people who do not know about the launch party for RealRevolutionRadio.com, our launch is on December the 4th, Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's going to be at the Anatomy, and we're going to be having a red carpet event at 8 o'clock where the red carpet is sponsored by Hacienda Publications and also by Danny and Susan Feller Photography. But the whole entire launch was actually sponsored in entirety with some of the many small businesses within the Cleveland arena. And I got to say,
it sounds like you're really creating something that local with kind of global potential impact. But it's wonderful that it has this local flavor.
Yes, and I believe it's the same thing with the beautiful philosophy of fractals.
Yeah, we'll have to go into fractals some other time, Joel, because we're at the end of our show.
No, definitely.
But I've been speaking with Joel Ayapana, Real Revolution Radio. Check it out. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
You'll check out my website, but not right away because it's down for the moment, at ncreview.com. Many blessings on Miriam Night. Goodbye.